This is Rosie and welcome to my studio where we can explore creativity together. Today I want to calibrate my Cricut Maker so that I can use the print then cut function. So I'm already in Design Space here. You can get to Design Space by logging into the Cricut website and then use your username to log in. If you don't have a username or an account, then it will prompt you to sign up and create one. So I'm going to go over to the top left corner here and I'm going to click on the drop down menu. And then over here, if you scroll down a little bit, it will say Print Then Cut Calibration. You want to choose that option. And then you're going to get a screen that says Calibrate for Print Then Cut, and it wants you to print out a calibration sheet. So you're going to click on Print right down here. Now you will probably want to print out more than one calibration sheet, because if the calibration isn't correct the first time, it will give you a chance to go through the calibration again, but you do need another sheet to do that. So you hit the print button here, and then it's going to my wireless printer, so I will hit print. And then you're going to load that calibration sheet up on your mat and press continue. So it's telling me that there's no Cricut device found, so please select a machine to calibrate. Now I haven't turned on my Maker yet, so that's why it's giving me that message, so I'm just going to turn it on. Okay, so it says Maker USB, it's connected on the USB, and it's telling me that now I can load the mat onto the Maker. So this is what the calibration sheet looks like, and I've loaded it onto the mat, and I was careful to get it loaded into the upper left corner of the mat. Make sure that there are no air bubbles, smooth out any air bubbles that you might get. Now I just wanted to go through the calibration process. When you load the mat into the Maker, it's going to scan these black lines, and there's a little light that's underneath the housing where you put your blade, and that's going to come on, and it's going to use that light to scan the lines. Now after it does that, it's going to cut out this little block in the middle, and then it's going to ask you whether or not the cut line is on the black line. Okay, you don't want it to be outside the line or inside the line. So then you answer that question, and then after that it's going to tell you that it wants to refine the cut. So it's going to make little cuts on each one of these lines here and on each one of these lines here. And then when it's done, it's going to ask you to look at the calibration sheet, and it wants you to pick the line that has the cut that's closest to the black line. So in other words, you want to look for the cut line that's running through the center of a black line. And then it will have you put in your answer. So say if it cut in the middle of 10 and in the middle of H, you'll put down 10 in H, and you'll see on the screen where it tells you to do that. Then after it does that, it's going to go and cut out the larger square. And then it's going to ask you if the cut is on the black line. And again, you want your cut to be in the center of this black line here. If it's not, and you're not happy with the cut, you'll say no, and it will go through the calibration all over again. And it's very easy because it does give you step-by-step instructions. So we're going to go and do it here now, and you'll get to see the whole process. Okay, when you load your mat, you want to make sure that the mat is in between these white guides. There's one here and there's one on the other side, and it should also be pushed up against the rubber rollers that's on each side. And then you just press the load unload button. And then it will prompt you to press go, so you just hit the little Cricut button on the machine. Now here's the little light that I talked about. It's a little sensing light, and it's sensing the lines on the paper right now. And it's getting ready to do the test cut of the little square in the center. Okay, so right now it wants to know if the cut line is touching the printed line all the way around the square. So I'm going to take a look at that. And on mine, yes it is, so I'm going to say yes. Now, if it's not on yours, you just select no. And then I can press continue. It's telling me that we're getting close. Now it wants to fine tune the calibration, and that's when it's going to go and sense all of these lines here, and it's going to attempt to cut in the center of each one of those lines. Okay, so now it's done making all those cuts, and it wants me to go and it wants me to decide which cut is closest to the line up here and which cut is closest to the line down here. So I'm going to go look at those. Okay, so on mine, the cut is running through the middle of line 12 and through the middle of line K. Now, it's actually important not to unload your mat when you're looking at any of these cuts, okay? The mat has to stay right where it is. You just have to get up and go look at it. So do not unload it. So I'm going to go over here, and where it says top, it was number 12, and where it says right, it was K. And now I'm going to click continue. So now it's doing that confirmation cut where it's going to cut out the big square. Okay, now it just wants to know if I'm happy with the cut. So I'm going to look and make sure that the cut is going right through the middle of the black line. And yes, it is. So are you happy with your cut? I'm going to choose yes. And it says, great news, we're almost done. Click continue to go to the final calibration screen. And then I hit continue one more time. And it says you're good to go. Click the save and close button. You will be able to continue cutting the pages you have already printed. Now, it's very important that you hit the save and close. If you don't, it's not going to save the calibration. Okay? And you're done. It's really that simple. So if your calibration cut is not perfect, just tell the program, and then it will bring you through the process again. And just as you saw on these screens here, it tells you everything that you need to do. So just keep following the instructions in Design Space. Here's the final result of the calibration. If you look closely, you can see the black line all around the outer edge. And that's what you want. You want to see a little bit of the black line. Okay, I hope that this video was helpful to you. Please like and subscribe.